this the right place? Whoa, it is. I bet you didn't expect to see me this year. I bet you were hoping you'd be done with me this year. Well, you're not. I'm back. And even though I'm only a couple doors down right now, I'm on the computer screen on the internet too. And I am here to help you out with a little something called the Columbian Exchange. So, let me see if I can remember right, and I'm sure you remember the Columbian Exchange from last year. But the Columbian Exchange was when... Okay, so I was on a trip through South America. I had a package that had something like $500,000. The other guy had a big package of cocaine. We were supposed to... No, this was a different Columbian Exchange. The Columbian Exchange in history that you need to know about actually was started by Columbus, who got Columbia named after him, actually, I think. I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong. But Columbus came over and from the Old World, which was Europe, and found, quite by accident, the New World, which was the Americas. He actually landed somewhere in the Caribbean on some islands there. He made a few trips back and forth. He was sponsored by the Spanish king and queen, who told him, basically, bring back as much money as you possibly can in the form of gold, and we'll be really happy. He didn't find a lot of gold, but he did find, unfortunately for them, the Native Americans who were already living in the New World, which made it a slightly used world, but it was like still in really good condition. And so he took over the New World from the Native Americans without really bothering to negotiate with them or share with them. He kind of forgot all of his kindergarten manners and just kind of slaughtered them. So the Columbian Exchange is called the Columbian Exchange because supposedly there's this back and forth of goods and products and culture, and all this stuff went back and forth between the New World and the Old World. But really, that didn't so much happen. This really could be called the Colombian Takeover, or the Colombian murder of the native peoples, because it wasn't an equal exchange at all. And so what ended up happening is European values, and while Columbus was an Italian who was sailing for Spain, and Spain definitely claimed most of the land in the Americas, other Europeans followed suit and started settling in the New World, or the slightly used but still in really good condition world, and they started taking their stuff just like the Spaniards had done. So they had guns and they had swords and they had no real scruples, and so they ended up taking over and either killing the Native Americans, enslaving the Native Americans, diseasing them and accidentally killing the Native Americans, or just forcing them to move west where they couldn't see them. And they kept moving them west because as they continued to expand, they took over the entire continent. So the Columbian Exchange was definitely one-sided. The Europeans definitely got the better end of the deal, and what ended up happening was a global marketplace kind of benefited from the Columbian Exchange. The Europeans were able to grab all these cool new foods and items. So they got corn, and they got potatoes, which was new. They got tomatoes, they got cocoa beans, they got tobacco. They got all these cool things from the Americas, and the Americas got killed. But one thing the Americas were able to do was they were able to grow all the Europeans' cool stuff that they got from other places. So the Europeans grew huge tobacco plantations. They grew tobacco there. They started sugar plantations and coffee plantations down in the tropical climates. And because they didn't want to do all the work for them, and because the Native Americans had already died, and they didn't want to do the work for them either because they were dead, the Europeans brought Africans over. And so we started to see a pretty heavy dose of racism here, where the Europeans really were in control of the New World, and they didn't really appreciate diversity. They kind of wanted only one way, one thing, and that was their way, their religion, their language, their way of life. And so ever since the Columbian Exchange, and only until recently, the Europeans who were in charge really got to control the flow of other people into this part of the world. So they were limiting immigration from other parts of the world, such as Asia and other Europeans who they didn't find as nice and kind and gentle as they were. And so they've basically had a stranglehold on the Americas ever since. So the Columbian Exchange, named after our hero Columbus, who's about to be celebrated for his amazing contributions to all of mankind, or at least to Spain and the white people. So, sorry if I didn't do as good of a job as Mr. Zager could have, but hey, I got to barge into your room and teach you a little bit more. So, good to see you. If you have any questions, you can come 2 doors down. I probably could have just done this in person, but it's cooler on the internet, right? So, be awesome, and I'll see you later.